Hello everybody, Stinky here. I'm going to do a little bit of cards and castles. This is going to be a bit of an informative video. I think, and maybe I should wait a little bit on this video, but I don't think I'm going to. I think the dust is finally settled and most of the patches are done. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to clean up some cards I got for ranking up to 7, 0 shards. Great. So I'm going to kind of cover the changes with all the different cards. Kind of touch on what I think of the changes, and if there's anything else, I'm also going to touch on the added card, and if there's anything else that I missed or that needs to be covered later, I'm going to wait a little while before I cover the changes. So this is just going to be an update and an addendum to the previous card breakdowns. This is going to be in the same playlist. This is, what's the date today? April the 2nd. So I think April something. So I'm gonna go ahead and cover it. Filthy Peasant, Peasant Militia got changed to Filthy Peasant. That's just cosmetic. They probably just wanted a little play on words there. I'm gonna start with neutral, then I'm gonna go Viking, Crusader, Pirate, Warlock, Ninja. So Archer's the first one that we notice a change. He's now a 2/2. 2 attack, 2 health, 2 movement, and 3 range. That gives a lot more usefulness to the archer. He's a significantly better defensive unit now, with the added range as well as the attack power. The one attack was just so negligible that no one cared. Now this card's actually useful. They bumped it up to 2 gold, but I think that's perfectly fine for the archer. I think he's right where he needs to be. He's actually going to be effective. He can be played if you want to play him. You're not going to be disappointed with archer anymore. Not a disappointment. I think the overall change to archer, you're going to see him a little bit more often, but probably not all the time. So change for the better for the archer. You're also going to notice the cards are organized all stupid now. There's nothing I can do about that. Unfortunately, CW3 has stopped. Whatever that is. Great. Alright. So, Lumberjack didn't change. Shaman's the next one that changed. He's now a 2 attack, 3 health, 2/2. So he's got a better stat line than Archer, at the cost of 1 range, but he also has support. He heals for 4 now. That makes this card also a lot more valuable and a lot more viable. He serves a dual purpose. Essentially, is what Ghost Wizard used to be. I'm sorry, Ghost Wizard Cultist used to be. Ghost Wizard is not even close to what Ghost Wizard used to be. But it makes Shaman a lot more useful now. You're going to see this guy a lot more often as well. I think that's totally fine. A good change for the Shaman overall. The heal 4 might be a little bit too strong. It should be maybe potentially heal 3, but I think he's a lot more viable where he's at. You'll see this guy a lot more often. Didn't change. Next one that changed, Soulless Lantern changed to Hungry Pumpkin, and he got his stats buffed. This is also a good change. Soulless Lantern and Peasant Militia were kind of back and forth on which one you wanted to run based on what deck. Now we have Hungry Pumpkin. He's in the 3-drop slot, so he's going to compete with Scout. Scout didn't change, so I'll kind of show them both here. He's going to compete with Scout in the 3-drop. He has 1 less movement, but he has 1 extra health, and he has a pseudo-vampire ability. I think this is great for the Hungry Pumpkin. You're going to see this 3-drop a lot more often. Now it's not just going to be an automatic faction specific 3-drop. The 3 spot's already pretty crowded. Now you're not necessarily going to see Faithful Drake or Sensei or Incinerator or whatever. You may see Hungry Pumpkin in that 3 slot. As far as putting pressure on your opponent, I think that's great. A lot more things that you can do now in that 3-drop slot, because it was really lacking with the power in the units. So I think that's a good change as well. Next one you're going to notice, Earth Knight got a significant change, and I'm not sure how I feel about this one. He's now a 4-drop, 4/6, 2 movement with knockback 3. This card is strong, but he's not what Earth Knight used to be. Earth Knight was been the same forever, and now they finally changed Earth Knight. They dropped him down to a 4-drop, I guess, to compete with Guardian and Dancing Swords in the same slot. You're not going to see Dancing Swords because of the stupid way that the collection's organized now. But Earth Knight, I really think he should have stayed the way he was. I don't think there was any problems. I think he was a great late game wall that your opponent had to get through, a lot more viable for draft. You're going to see Earth Knight a lot more often now, especially in Viking decks when they specialize with the knockback, just giving them an extra utility. But this is neutral, so you can have any faction with knockback cards now. It makes Mark of Detonation a lot less abusable because you have to worry about your opponent dropping an Earth Knight and knocking your Mark unit away from your castle. So the Earth Knight is going to be very valuable in defense. He also competes with Fencer, and I think that Earth Knight, the comparison between Earth Knight and Fencer, Earth Knight might be a little bit better because of that 6 health, but I actually really like Fencer. I'll touch on him in a little while. But Earth Knight's good, but he's just not the same. It's going to make your draft games take a lot longer because once you get into that late game, people are going to be dropping these weenies, and they're going to have a lot less bombs because Earth Knight was a very valuable, and he fit his role well in tournament mode. Now, tournament games are going to be a lot more difficult without Earth Knight. Being what he was, but it's going to make the mid game a lot more interesting. So keep your eye on Earth Knight. I'm going to play some games with him to see how I like it, but as of right now, I think the change is overall positive, although I think this one was pretty arbitrary. As far as cards that were changed, there's cards changed in all the factions. Very few of them I feel like were arbitrary changes. This is one of them. I didn't think Earth Knight needed to be changed, but the fact that he was, I don't think it's necessarily bad. It's just unnecessary. Didn't need to happen, but he fits in that 4 slot, so you're going to see a little bit more versatility there. Didn't change. Next one that changed, Headless Horseman. That card changed too. We're going to slide that right over there. So Headless Horseman change. Compare him to Guardian now. He costs 1 extra gold. He has 2 extra attack, 1 extra movement, and -3 health. So he's essentially another Guardian that you could play here. Headless Horseman. He has 4 movement with Pierce. So that's always good. To be able to have that extra range is good, but he also got an attack buff to 5. I think that's very important for Headless Horseman because he's going to make killing buildings when you don't have the cards necessary to kill a lot of buildings. It's going to make that a lot easier. I think that's a great change for Headless Horseman. It's going to make him more viable long term, and I think that's fantastic. I would much rather, have him be useful than just kind of throw it at your base and drop a Darkfire on turn 9. Now he actually has a little bit more utility. You're going to see him compete a little bit more with, Knight of the Flowers and Sentry Golem in that 5-drop slot. And I think that's great, giving them that 5 attack power and getting rid of the charge. I mean, yeah, he's not the same as what he used to be, but it doesn't make him worse. So I heard arguments why this was changed because new players specifically, weren't taking advantage of the charge being able to hit the base right away. So this is going to give them a little bit more options with their Headless Horseman. I keep calling him Headless Guardian, but they're Headless Horsemen, in order to make low-level games a little bit more competitive and action-filled. And for that reason, I understand the change. I'm okay with it. I actually think this version of Headless Horseman is better than the previous one. I think I'm in the minority there, but I think this change is just fine. Next one that changed, Swordsman. This is a big change. He got a drop in cost from 6 to 5. He also lost 2 health. That was the only changes with him. So they made him drop a little bit earlier on the curve, getting him out in that 5 slot, competing with Sentry Golem in that 5 slot. It's going to make your decision-making process a little bit more difficult. I think Swordsman's still fantastic. There's definitely nothing wrong with Swordsman. The change between 7 health and 9 health is, it matters, but you're going to get a lot less value on the defense with Swordsman, where the offense stays the same and you can actually play him a turn earlier. I think that's perfectly okay. You can also use him a lot easier with tag team. Now you can play a Swordsman, attack something, tag team out, and play another Swordsman. No, tag team's not the right word. Replacement Technique is the card that I was thinking of. I think that's good for Swordsman. I think overall the change is positive. They're trying to reduce the meat on some of these units because the high health pools are kind of a problem. So I think the swordsman change is just fine. Next change is wizard. This guy now has teleport. He is a 4/2, 2 range, 2 movement with teleport. I think this version of wizard is fantastic. He is significantly better than Wizard was before. This is actually his second change in a few days. The first change, he was too strong, so they had to change Wizard again. Give him a teleport unit where you can flash and deal 4 damage to the base. Good replacement for a Headless Guardian for those of you who want that utility to be able to flash something in a Darkfire on turn 9. You're actually going to be able to get net 1 more damage with Wizard, at least to the castle. You're not going to be able to pierce through something. So the Headless Horseman had a little bit more damage potential in that aspect, but this is going to be able to deal a little more damage to the base and serves the same purpose as Headless Horseman used to do before. Now, Wizard's a fantastic revenge killer. He can flash in and kill a unit that attacked one of yours when he's at low health, and then your opponent has to attack him again, and you may get some retaliation damage off of it unless you're dealing with something with even more range than Wizard, and that's where the balance kicks in. I really like Wizard. I think this iteration of him is perfect. I don't see anything wrong with him in his current state at all. So Wizards are all just dropouts from the Warlock Academy. Headmaster Saurus, that comment is still there. Then I don't know why Mage Apprentice doesn't have a cool flavor text, but it is what it is. Pillar of Annoyance, the same. The Rat, the same. Legionnaire, the same. Suit of Armor, the same. Dancing Sword, the same. That's the same. That's the same. New card. This is Fencer. Fencer is a 4/5 for 4, and we know how much we like those. We don't at all. They're generally horrible. But this one has Disarm. Now, you're only going to notice I only have 1 regular Fencer and I have 2 foil Fencers because I cannot craft this card. This card will only be found during a tournament event, which means it has to be given away to you for your performance in tournament, which means to get any of the tournament exclusive cards, that's what this set symbol means on the bottom. It's the special set. That's what that set is right there. This special set is for cards that are given away for leveling up, your badge level, as well as tournament exclusives. I don't know if there's anything else that's in that category yet. It may be, but it's another category as far as your set is concerned. So that's what that set symbol means on the bottom for those of you who aren't familiar with it. Some existing cards got allocated to the special category. Dark Spirit, Stables. There's other ones, I'm just not mentioning them right now, or I don't know what they are. But the Disarm ability says enemy targets cannot retaliate for 1 turn, which means no matter what he attacks, that unit does not retaliate against him. So he does not take retaliation damage from anything. Not only that, is if he doesn't kill the unit, you can attack with another unit and they still won't retaliate. So he is a fantastic defender. He's great for leading a charge, taking care of something nasty in front of your opponent's base, like a giant legionnaire or something like that, Dreymoth. Something where you need to pile up on it to kill it. Fencer's going to be able to get that damage there and keep your guys alive. So he's going to bring a ton of value. I really like Fencer. I've been playing with him a lot. Obviously, I crafted foils. The foil crafting price is at 16,000 right now, and that's pretty steep. I crafted them when they were only 8,000. They changed it. Probably so people didn't just stack up on Fencers because they want to make it special for a tournament reward. So they made the cost really high if you choose to do that. I spent 16,000 shards and crafted 2 of these. I would have to spend 32,000 shards to accomplish the same purpose. I don't know if I'm going to do that with any future tournament cards, if I'm going to craft a bunch of foils in them, because obviously my shard count's pretty low and I don't want to spend money if I can avoid it. So Fencer, anyway, I think he's fantastic. If you are lucky enough to have him, great, play him. If you're not lucky enough to have him, you can consider crafting him. I think it's steep for 16,000 shards, but he's fantastic, so get him when you can. Rat King unchanged. The Ranger is changed here. You're going to notice he's now a 9-9 instead of a 9-10. The reason that this change was made is just so the Ranger can trade with himself. The difference between having 10 health and 9 health is reasonably negligible, but now a Ranger can run out on the field and kill another Ranger. That makes him a lot less... makes him staying alive a lot more difficult. And it's also a lot easier to deal with your opponent's Ranger. Obviously, if you're playing Crusaders or Pirates now, where they can buff the health of a unit, your Ranger still can kill another Ranger and survive. But for assuming an even playing field, the Ranger is going to be able to trade with himself, and I think that's a welcome change. It's always kind of a pain in the ass to deal with a Ranger. Now it's a little bit easier. With some of the other changes to removal, it's also more difficult to kill the Ranger. So I think that's a welcome change. And the last thing I want to touch on, this is a new card that was added. This is Stone Drake. You might have seen images of him on the forums. People were pulling him out of Flames of Eternity and Lore Master Terrius for a short time before he got locked back down. He's a 6/7 for 6 with 3 movement, so he's essentially Earth Knight. He's a baby Earth Knight, but he is a Drake, so he fits that Drake meta with the Dragon Temples and Aeroth and that kind of stuff. So he's going to see play. If you want a reasonably high cost, beefy neutral unit, Stone Drake is going to get the job done for you. Obviously, you can't get them yet because he hasn't been released. I don't have access to the normal version because he hasn't been offered as a tournament reward yet, but you will see this guy if you play Flames of Eternity or Lore Master Terrius. Alright, to the Vikings. Burst of Strength, I think, was changed. Now it's a 2-drop 3/3. Maybe that's not changed. I don't know. Okay, Vortex was changed. If it wasn't changed, it essentially serves the same purpose. Vortex was changed. Now it pulls units 5 spaces. It makes that movement a lot more useful. Being able to pull your opponents farther. That 2 movement still left your guys at risk. Now it moves at 5. So you can take out a unit without putting your guys at risk. Pull it forward, knock it back, that kind of stuff. So you'll see this a little bit more often. I can see it being useful with some knockback lightning combos with vortexing stuff forward and then knocking it back into your opponent's base and killing a bunch of stuff. So Vortex, I'm gonna play with this a little bit. I haven't decided if I like it yet, but I mean, like it as play it ever. I told you never to play this card before. Now it's situationally useful, so I think that change is welcome. Armory, the same. Call to War, significantly different. Now this adds 2 random units costing 3 gold or less to your hand. This card's fantastic. It's the draw that Vikings needed. Vikings needed this card. And I'm really happy with the way that they implemented it. This card used to be totally worthless. You can just giving all of your units +1/+1, just like what Knight of the Flowers did, but worse. Now this card is fantastic. It adds 2 units to your hand, kind of like the Ice Drakes used to, or the Ice Drake spell that I can't remember the name of right now, that it adds 2 Ice Drakes. This one adds 2 of anything from any faction. You can get legendaries. You can get Rat King out of this thing, but sometimes you'll get stuck with a rat and a zombie. So it's really luck based, but I really like it. It gives Vikings a little bit more manpower to throw at your opponent. You having all the buffs and the knockbacks and all that other good stuff, you don't necessarily need your units to be high cost to be effective with Vikings. So being able to bring a couple of low cost guys to your hand, even late game, this is useful because you'll be able to bring some tempo back, play this card, get 2 units, and then have those units be able to fend off a rush against you, or play them both at the same time to supplement an attack. I think this card's fantastic. Sharpened Blades, the same. Blessing of Trance, the same. Same. I'm not 100% sure what changed. If I gloss over something, let me know. I don't think I will. Hall of Winds, actually really like this card now. I've been using it lately. Yeah. Okay. That card's terrible. Still the same. Battle Gear. Alright. Nope, that's not the one that changed. This one, Cold Blast, is now Icy Assault. It is a completely different card, and this card's phenomenal. Another card that Vikings desperately needed. So this gives a unit neg 4 movement, and damage taken will be increased by 3. This is neg 4 movement permanently. So if you hit a unit with Icy Assault, it ain't going anywhere. So you can just walk around it, or you can knock it back into your opponent's back row. So that's pretty funny, hitting something with an Icy Assault and throwing it back behind the castle, giving them one less place where they're allowed to place units. So that's great. You can put this on anything, but it won't kill a unit on its own. So you can't hit something like Acolyte with it and hope it dies, but you can hit something that's a threat to you and you don't want it to attack you. Like this will stop the Ranger in its tracks. Craxus, it'll stop it in its tracks. There's a lot of stuff that Icy Assault will do, and if it's a unit that you do need to make sure to take out, like a support unit or something really big, Akamon, you can throw Icy Assault on it, and then this not only magnifies attack damage, but also lightning damage, explosion damage, spell damage, so you'll be able to take down the unit very quickly. This is a removal spell that fits the Vikings theme, as well as serves its purpose. I really like this card. I think it's fantastic. Very welcome change. Cold Blast was totally worthless after they changed you being able to target your own units with it. Now this card's great. Play this card in Vikings. You won't be disappointed. Farsight's the same. Smithy changed. Smithy gives a friendly unit +2 attack, and it gives it permanently, which means you buff a unit with Smithy. He's now a 1 attack, 2 health with 2 range, so his movement's low and he's very frail. However, he gives that +2 attack permanently, so they'll never lose it. It's like it's fantastic. I think Smithy's great. I think having him being a 3-drop but very frail is also very good for him. He dies to just about any removal in the game, so he's not going to be too abusive if you can help it, but at the same time he's also very valuable. One thing that you should note with Smithy is that +2 will not stack. So once you hit the unit with Smithy and give him +2 attack, you cannot continue to buff him up, +2, +4, +6. Also keep in mind, if you have 2 Smithies on the field at the same time, once one Smithy hits a unit, if the other one hits it, it also does not get the +2 buff. I've made that mistake. It's trial and error, but I think Smithy's fantastic. It makes the Viking support unit actually useful now. Smithy in the way that it was, given 1 attack and blah blah blah. He was a nice 3/3 for 2, but other than that, that was about it. Now Smithy's actually viable. Definitely should consider playing him if you're a Vikings player. Very welcome change to make him useful, and I'm glad that they made him not overpowered. He's powerful, but he's not overpowered, and I think that's great. Wind weapons the same. Sorry that these cards look all sorts of out of order. It's because they sort them by rarity. So they do commons, rares, epics, and legendaries on the far right, instead of just ordering everything by gold cost, which is what you think they would do, and what they've done for forever. I don't know why they changed it, but they did. Same. That's the same. Dragon Taming is the same. Ice Weaver. There we go. There's a card that changed. They made this card a lot more meaty. Vikings are all about having meaty guys. Big, strong, burly guys. Now they made Ice Weaver very competitive on the curve. So now he's a 5/5 for 4. So very good in his own right as a 4-drop. Notice his stat line is better than things like Fencer or and stuff like that. His stat line is better than Headless Guardian, which is fine. He also inflicts freeze, which is still only -2 movement for Ice Weaver. So assuming that the target that you're attacking survives, you'll just be able to walk up to Ice Weaver and attack him. But now that he has a little bit more meat, the guys that he attacks are going to die a little bit more frequently, as well as he's going to survive a little bit more as well. So I think Ice Weaver, this is a welcome change for him. I still wish he had 3 range, but I don't think that's ever going to happen. Ventre doesn't like the Ice Weaver being able to kite anything, so don't get your hopes up for a 3-range Ice Weaver. But in his current state, he's actually useful now. I haven't decided how useful, but he's definitely better than he was. Better than he was previously, not better than he was a long time ago. Battle training is the same. Blizzard's still terrible. Barbarian, you got a +1 health buff. With a lot of units getting attack buffs, they wanted to make Barbarian a little bit more viable in that 6-drop. For the Vikings, they wanted to give him a little bit more meat, a little bit more heft. I think that's fine. I don't, this seemed like a change that was a little bit arbitrary. Maybe there was a specific reason that he didn't want him to have 6 health, and that 7 was the magic number. I don't know what it is. This is one of the few changes that I think was just arbitrary. I don't really understand why this change was made, or what it really accomplishes, what the real significant gameplay differences were between having 6 health and having 7 health. I guess this means that he can now attack a unit that has 3 attack and 6 health, like a Faithful Drake used to, and not trade. So he'll be able to attack a 3 attack unit twice and survive. So maybe that's why the change was made. Making his half of his health 3.5 instead of 3 on the nose, to make him a little bit more effective in trading. A 6-drop unit shouldn't be able to trade with a Shield Knight. A 2-drop unit, maybe that's why, but I don't know. It makes sense when I say it out loud, but he's stronger, so that can't be bad, right? Dragon Bolt's the same, Lightning Bolt's the same. Brinjol's Blessing, Brinjol's Big Bash changed. They lowered the cost. No one plays this card. They lowered the cost. Still, no one's going to play this card, so still ignore it. Brinjol's Blessing gives a unit knockback 5 now for 2 gold. So you can take your Earth Knight and you can make him giant. You can take your what the hell is the name of that knockbacky guy? Oh, this is gonna piss me off. What the hell is the name of that guy? The 3-drop knockback guy. Berserker. There he is. Make your Berserker giant. Berserker's a 3/4, so you can make him like a 8/9 as early as turn 3. So it makes him very, very hard to deal with. Brinjol's Blessing is very strong. This might be almost too strong, but I haven't played with it enough yet. With knockback being a little bit more viable now that Earth Knight has it, Brinjol's Blessing is going to see a little bit more play, and that may or may not be a good thing. So be careful with it, but it is stronger. Don't necessarily know if it's better. Gungnir got a cost drop, now costs 3. I think that makes this card a lot more useful. I really wish this card costed less back in the day. Now it does cost less, so it's probably going to see more play. The stat change is the same. Wish it affected ranged units, but it doesn't. You're gonna see this card played a little bit more frequently. I don't know how good it is yet, because I haven't really tested it, but it got a cost drop, and I think that sorely needed it. I know I talked about that in my Viking breakdown video. So Gungnir getting a cost drop is only good for Gungnir. Aeroth, next one that changed. Looks like a lot of the Viking legendaries changed. Aeroth changed. He is now a 4/8 with 4 movement for 4 gold. So this card's bonkers. He's got an incredible stat line for that 4-drop. Just ignore the Drake buff, because that part didn't change. Just his stat line alone, a 4/8, 4 movement for 4. Compare that to Dancing Swords. Yeah, that's what I thought. So compare this to the Headless Guardian that we just covered, or the Headless Horseman. Sorry, this card's just clearly better in stats. Plus, it has that Drake ability, so you're going to see this card a lot more often too. Even with Vikings players that aren't playing Drakes, you'll still see this card because of his stat line. He's really good. The same reason that I played One-Eyed Maddie before. Because that 5/5 stat line for 4, now I've got a 4/8 stat line for 4. I think this is fantastic. Good change for Aeroth. Might be a little too strong, but I don't think so. I think he's actually perfectly fine the way he is. He also doesn't give himself 1 attack and knockback too, so he's not going to be obscene. He's just a really good stat line. Winds of the Njord changed. This card just got a drop in cost. It was 6, now it's 5. So you're going to have to watch out for Redbeard, Winds of the Njord happening on the same turn. So be careful there. You're going to see this card a little bit more frequently now, but I still think it's going to run into the same problems of, playing it or not being able to apply enough pressure at the same time. So be careful with the Winds of the Njord still, but you're going to see it played a little bit more frequently. Ragnar's the same, Brinjol's the same, and these are the foils I don't have. Yeah, these are the foils I don't have for Vikings, in case you cared. There they are. Alright, let's head to Crusaders. First one, Mighty Retaliation gives a damaged unit +5 attack this turn. So this is a offensive buff. Mighty Retaliation used to deal with, well, retaliation damage. Now you can take a damaged unit, something that you play Chaotic Storm on, throw Mighty Retaliation on it, and you're going to get a strong buff for not a lot of gold cost. Compare this to Might of the Minotaur, and you're going to notice that it's not overpowered. It seems a lot stronger than it actually is. This card's negligibly strong. I'm still not going to play it, but it definitely has its uses in combo decks. I mean, throwing it on something like the Wanderer and then healing him back up, and then you get a really strong guy. But it only it affects this turn. It's not permanent. So, keep that in mind. It's going to be used as a removal spell, but it's still not as good as the Might of the Minotaur, but is marginally more effective than what it used to be. Brewery got an increase in cost. That was probably needed. Brewery was really, really, really strong before. It's still really, really, really strong, but now it's harder to play with tempo. Throwing them in that crowded 3 slot makes this card a little bit more difficult to play, but it doesn't make it less strong. It's still really powerful, but it was too strong. It deserved a nerf. So it got an increased cost. Still going to be effective. It's still on the same tier as Armory and Temple of the Five Gods. Essentially, stat buff building. They're all about the same gold cost. So I think this is fine. It's not going to kill Brewery, but you're going to see it around a little bit less. And I think that's okay. Brewery was just too strong where it was at. Swift Justice. This is a good removal spell for Crusaders. They actually needed one of these. This deals 4 damage to a damaged unit, so if a unit is already hurt, this will finish it off. A good revenge killer. Not as good as Wizard in that role, but this only costs 1 and Wizard costs 5. So this is going to be able to finish some stuff off that you weren't able to finish off before. Keep in mind it only deals damage to units, so you won't be able to deal 4 damage to a damaged castle or building. But for newer players who need to be able to take out guys that get buffed up really big, Swift Justice is going to be able to do it for you. I think it's a welcome change. Before it was horrible. Now it's actually viable. Courthouse Unchanged. Books. Flying Books got a drop in health. It used to be a 3/3, now it's a 3/2. This makes it susceptible to Dark Bolt. So Dark Bolt's going to be able to kill Flying Books. Rat King is also going to be able to kill Flying Books. So you can't just use it to body block your base against a Rat King unless you want your books to die and you won't get your card. Also dies to Imp. Imp will kill Flying Books now. People were getting a lot of draw Flying Books. It might have been a little too strong. This change seems a little bit arbitrary to me, but now it's not a guaranteed draw. So it makes the control games a little bit less consistent. With your Flying Books dying, you're not going to be able to have him always replace himself like you were before. It makes him extremely frail, but he still replaces himself in most circumstances. So you're going to have to be a little bit more careful when you play Flying Books, and he might not be an auto-include in every Crusader deck now, but he's still good. I think this change is fine. It makes your, control decks a little bit less stable. You're able to apply a little bit less pressure. But it makes playing against the control decks a little bit easier, and I think that was necessary. Let's see here. Okay. Let's touch on one that seemed really, really arbitrary. It looks like there's maybe one of these in each faction. So it was, in neutral, it was, Earth Knight, then it was, Barbarian, now it looks like it's Priest. Priest, this change was totally unnecessary. Priest is overpowered as hell. He's a 3-drop, 3/4, 2 range, 2 attacks, and he gives Divine Shield 3. So now instead of him being really strong, now he's obscene. They kept him at the same gold cost, but they increased his attack, they increased his health, and his effect. I thought he was great before. Now he's brutally unfair. Um, if you're not playing Priest now, put him in all of your Crusader decks. Priest is insane. He is so good. He's unbelievably powerful. So play Priest all the time. You will not be disappointed with Priest. He's too strong. This card did not need a change. It did not need a buff. There was nothing wrong with Priest the way he was before. Now he is way too strong. Hopefully they fix this and realize Priest is too strong. Purge is the same. Regen's the same. Sorry, I don't have a list of everything that got changed. So I'm just kind of scrolling through and noticing stuff that's different. Paladin got changed. He got an added health. That makes him no longer one of those 4-5 for 4s. Now he's a 4-6. So he got a little bit more utility there. He's not going to die to Incinerate or anything like that anymore. So he now heals all friendly units for 1, as he used to do before. He also got that set change symbol, so now he's going to be a rank up reward. Don't know what rank, but he's a 4-6 for 4 now, so it makes him a lot more viable. Nobody played Paladin, and Paladin's been around for forever. Now people are going to play him a little bit more frequently, and he's going to stay alive a little bit longer and be a little bit more useful. Serves that role of tanky Crusader a little bit better than he did before. Just the 4-5 stat line was never good. Now he's a 4-6, so he's going to survive a little longer, and you're actually going to be able to take advantage of that heal more than you were the way he was. So I think that was a welcome change. Monk, church. Alright, this is a card that changed. Faithful Drake. Faithful Drake got a drop. Now he's a 3-5 as opposed to a 3-6. He was too strong. People played him too much. He got too much value out of Faithful Drake. I think this was a nerf that was really necessary. I don't see anything wrong with Faithful Drake the way that he is in that 3-5 slot. He's not going to, survive or trade up as much anymore. And that Martyr effect is going to be a little bit more valuable on him now. I think you're going to see the same amount of Faithful Drakes that you did before. Before the changes, but I think it was a welcome change. Crusaders were a little bit too tanky. Their tankiness got buffed a little bit by Paladin, reduced a little bit by Faithful Drake, reduced a little bit by Brewery, upped a little bit by Priest. So their tankiness is going to be about the same. It's just going to be in different places. But I think Faithful Drake being able to die a lot easier is going to be better overall for the game. Rally the Town needs to change. Peasant Melissa needs to be changed to Filthy Peasant. Let's see here. Stables was changed. The cost was cut from 5 to 4. This makes Stables a lot more playable. I think it was really good the way it was before. If you were able to keep it alive. Playing it on turn 4, you're going to have a lot easier time keeping this alive. It's going to bring charge back, and it's going to make it a lot more useful. I'm using Stable in my Wotan deck, as I highlighted in my last video. I think Stables is really good now. You're going to see this a lot more often, so make sure you pack your building removal. It's going to be really hard to gain the initiative back if you've lost it and your opponent has a stables on the field. It's going to be almost impossible to take the center back because the units won't be in the center. They're going to be in your face every turn. So Stables is really strong. It also got a rarity increase. So crafting the foil now costs 8,000. Hopefully you have your foils already, and this is now a special card, so you're not allowed to craft this anymore. This is given on rank up or tournament rewards or something. I'm not exactly sure how the special set works, but there it is. Tower of Terius got its cost reduced, I think. That makes it a little bit more playable, but I still think it suffers from the same problem that it did before. It's part of a combo piece in a really cancerous deck that's going around right now. But I don't think Tower of Terius is broken. I think it's just fine. It's actually more viable, but it's still not very good. Let's see here. Lionel got changed. He got his attack raised from 4 to 5. Now he can kill buildings. So I guess that's useful. I don't really see the real need to change his attack from 4 to 5. You know, he served as a revenge killer. That was his job. He did it well. Having that 5 attack isn't really going to matter very much. So seems reasonably arbitrary, but he can kill buildings now, so he is a bit stronger. But if you're on the offensive with Lionel, you probably already won. Alright, Jovive, Dramoth, and here are the foils in Crusaders that I don't have. Alright, there they are. There's the ones I don't have for Crusaders. Just these ones. Alright. To Pirates, Corrosive Poison, I think that got changed with a patch before, so I don't need to cover that. Merchant's Estate. This building is good now. Now gives your units +1 health, and you get an extra gold at the beginning of your turn. The mini brewery for Pirates is still, you still get your +1 gold. Now you get an additional health to make some of the frail ranged units that Pirates do have a little bit more viable. As well as this card's actually useful now. It was totally horrible, just giving that +1 gold and draw a card when you're on turn 10. If you play it after turn 10, now it no longer has that, but you get that permanent +1 health. I think Merchant Estate's a lot more playable now than it used to be. Trading Post isn't going to be your go-to building anymore. For those of you who played Guild of Scoundrels, you're going to be disappointed. But I didn't think that card was good anyway. I think Merchant Estate's great now. Very good change. Welcome. Glad to see it. Dirty Job. This is one that I'm not glad to see. Now it deals 5 damage to a unit, and you gain 1 gold next turn. That 1 gold will not trip the draw. The same as before, but now it doesn't give bleed 5. It gives deal 5 damage. So this card just got worse. No reason to really kill this card. I didn't see any problem with the way that it was before. For all the cards that it insta-killed before the patch, it's still going to insta-kill them, and all the cards after the patch where the bleed took effect and killed it, most of those units were either sacrificed away or thrown down your opponent's throat. Now there's really no lasting effect from Dirty Job. So sorry, Pirates. The Pirates got the short end of the stick with these patches. They got shafted in a lot of places, even though Merchant Estate's good. Dirty Job is now useless. Pillage is the same. Cripple's the same. Curse of Exhaustion, I think that might have got a cost reduction, but it's still not very good. Dirty Fighting, did that get changed? I don't know, I'm still never going to play it. Phantom Strike's the same. Alright, Curse of Visceration. Now it deals 3 damage to all units, but not inflict bleed 3. I think you're going to notice a theme here. Why they got rid of that mechanic for the most part, I don't know. There was nothing wrong with the bleed mechanic. Curse of Visceration was fine just where it is. Now this card's completely useless. Dealing 3 damage to all units is just terrible. Why would you want to play a card like this when almost every unit in the game has more than 3 health, so it's not going to kill anything? You're going to have to combo this with something in order to get any sort of value out of it. It's not even going to kill Priest anymore. Totally worthless. Never play this card. They killed it. Curse of Visceration used to be something else. Disembowel, where it dealt 1 damage. It was like a 5-drop, and it dealt 1 damage. It gave 3 bleed, and you drew a card. That card was great, and then they changed it, and it was okay. It served its purpose as a global removal, though it was delayed. There's nothing wrong with that. Now it's horrible, and it doesn't do anything. So don't play this card. This card, now it's a 3/3 buff instead of a 3/2. I suppose that's welcome, just so it compares a little bit better to cards like Battle Gear, with the negative cost that you have to pay on your following turn for Veil of the Assassin. Now they increase the health, so your unit will survive a little bit more if you equip it with Veil of the Assassin. So I guess that's fine. Makes this a little bit stronger. I thought it was fine just the way it was, but now it's a little bit better. Just because it gives that extra health buff, but it's not going to make me play it any more constructed. It's not going to make me pick it any more frequently in tournament, unless I get picked with some of the cards that got changed. I might pick this a little bit more frequently, but not because this is better, it's because the other cards are worse. So I guess this card's okay. Sabotage the same, Thief's the same, Random Knives the same, Mercenaries the same, Troll Gunner the same, Combustible poison. This has been subject to some debate. It gives exposed weakness 1 and draws a card. From what I understand, exposed weakness no longer stacks as it shouldn't. So I think that's perfectly fine. No trail. Fly disruption. Treasure hunt. Alright, Killing Blow now deals 8 damage instead of 7 damage. I think this card didn't need a change. Now it's stronger, but I guess what my thinking is, what needs to take 8 damage? What did you want to kill with Killing Blow that you weren't able to kill with Killing Blow the way it was? Let me think. What had 8 health? Nothing? Aeroth has 8 health now. I don't know, I can't think of it. Rakanoth has 8 health, but this is essentially just to increase base damage. All it will deal is deal more damage to the base. That is it. So, yeah, you're going to be able to deal some more damage to the base. There you go. Blink in your wizard, hit him with a Killing Blow, buff up, Darkfire, lots of damage all at once. So, Killing Blow, you're going to see this a little bit more frequently, but it's effectively the same card as it was before, other than you're going to have to watch your base's health a little bit more. Alright, I guess it's time to touch on it. My favorite card in the game is now worthless. Deals 1 damage to a target 3 times. So if you hit it with some poison or something, it can deal 6 damage for 3 gold. It can hit the base. We've experienced that already with some cancerous decks. But this card was my favorite card. It was dark. It did its job and it did it well. It was good removal, but it wasn't overpowered removal. Now it's terrible. Oh man, that's such a heartbreaker that they just ruined my favorite card like that. Like, this change did not need to happen. There was nothing wrong with Slice and Dice the way that it was. They got rid of the bleed. They got rid of movement loss. They upped the damage by 1. But what is this going to kill? Nothing. Nothing has 3 health. Rat King has 3 health, but, play Naturalize. Play anything else. Slice and Dice is just not good anymore, and it breaks my heart. They made it a little bit more combo worthy with some poison, and you can Killing Blow and Slice and Dice and target the base, and yay, but God, I'm just so heartbroken that they ruined Slice and Dice like this. Like, this was not a necessary change. Pirates needed that removal. That's kind of what their faction is based on, and now they don't have any. Like, what do they have that's good removal? Nothing. Killing Blow. There it is. There's your removal, Killing Blow, and it's going to cost you. Curse of Evisceration's terrible. Slice and Dice is terrible. Dirty Job's terrible. Like, they just completely stripped away all the removal from Pirates. All the good stuff from Pirates is now gone. And now no longer exists anymore. And you've got Merchant's Estate and Killing Blow. But the thing that made Pirates Pirates doesn't exist anymore. And it's a heartbreaker for me. It really bothers me what they did to Pirates. A lot of the changes that they made to Pirates just feel unnecessary, and that's the biggest one for me. This is my favorite card, and they just ruined it. It's totally worthless now. Don't play it. Okay. There's a card that changed. Guild of Scoundrels. This now gives all of your units +1 attack. Notice the theme of no more bleed. They're getting rid of that mechanic for some reason. I don't know why. But now you get that extra gold and +1 attacks. This is your mini armory. Compare this with mini brewery. I also think they're giving this card for free now. I think everybody has this. Don't know why it was changed. Don't like the change. Think it was fine the way that it was before. Now the +1 attack is a little bit more defensive. You're not going to be able to stack up bleeds or anything. So, You know, for those of you who like to kill the scoundrels, you probably don't like it anymore, which is kind of a bummer. I think this is actually a change for the worse for Guild of Scoundrels, but you know, it is what it is. I didn't like the card anyway. I'm not going to play it then. I'm not going to play it now. Fortress of the Red Tide. Now it's useful. I think this card is perfectly fine the way that it is right now. Now it's useful. Now there's a reason to play this card. Now there's a reason to get excited for when you have Fortress of the Red Tide instead of just be like, damn it, Fortress of the Red Tide. You can get this card out of Call to War or whatever the Viking card's called now. Now has teleport. It can attack right away. You can play it anywhere on the map. You can play it on your side or your opponent's side as long as it's, you know, in front of the castle somewhere. It has teleport, still has the 2 range, 1 movement, but you can attack something right away with this card. You get a, you know, I think that's fantastic. Nothing wrong with Fortress of the Red Tide the way it is right now. People think it's too strong. I don't. I think this card's perfectly fine the way that it is. No issues with Fortress of the Red Tide. One-Eyed Maddie. This is another card that received an arbitrary change. Compare this to Aeroth. The stats are the same. It's now a 4/8 for 4, just like Aeroth was. Although this effect is a little bit more useful than Aeroth's, arguably. It still has the increased damage taken by everything by 2, but now he's not. The reason that his stats were changed is his effect would go off and he would attack something and they would trade. Now, One-Eyed Maddie's not necessarily going to trade with anything that he attacks. You know, you'd be able to attack a Soulless Lantern with the original One-Eyed Maddie and he would trade, or Flying Books. Now he's not necessarily going to change with those low drop trade with those low drop units, so you're going to see him on the field a little bit more, but it's also going to be a lot more difficult to kill him before his effect procs. And now that they got rid of Bleed, it's going to be even harder to kill him before his effect proc. So expect to see the damage proc a lot more often with One-Eyed Maddie, and that may be a bad thing, but it's really hard to tell. Redbeard's the same. I don't think this card needs to be changed. A lot of people are saying Redbeard's too strong. I think Redbeard's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with him. He fits the theme of pirates perfectly. Please don't change him. Redbeard's Curse still sucks. Dread Pirate Bobbert's changed. At the start of your turn, add a merchant's favor to your hand instead of drawing for your deck. But he now has teleport. He's an 8-drop for an 8/7 with 3 attack and 3 movement and 2 range. So this card is a lot more strong. He can attack the base on the turn that he's played. He makes playing mono pirates reasonably effective, except for the fact that they don't have any of their good spells anymore. So mono pirates is probably the worst because they got rid of all the pirates' good spells. But Bobberts is better, so take that for what it's worth. And here's the foils I don't have. Let's touch on this guy, Bridge Troll. This is one of the new cards that they added to the game, the same as Stone Drake. This is a tournament rewards card. Obviously, I cannot craft this card because I don't have the original. But Bridge Troll, when played, gain 1 gold and your opponent loses 1 gold next turn. You play this on turn 1. So if you play this, then your opponent gets a less tempo. This is going to be this card's going to be really good for pirates. I think this card's great. He's very frail. He's a 2/2 for 3, so he's going to die to basically everything. But I think Bridge Troll is going to be able to keep the pressure up for you, and it's going to it's going to make it harder for your opponent to recover. Perfectly fits the Pirates theme. I like it. Let's look at that artwork. Great. And yeah, that's that. Alright, let's touch on Warlocks. I don't think Warlocks had a whole hell of a lot of changes. If I remember right. Pyromancer changed. He is now good again. He's 3/1, so he's extraordinarily frail. But he now has 3 range, which is very good. Pyromancer is going to see a lot more play, although that 1 health is going to be very hard to justify, especially if you're a Chaotic Storm player. Pyromancer is going to die to Chaotic Storm. So you're going to have to be careful, but giving him 3 range makes Pyromancer actually viable again, so be careful the way you clump up your units, especially if you're playing against Warlocks. You're going to be able to get some serious value from your Pyromancers. So play Pyromancer if you're a Warlocks player. This was a very welcome change. Let's see here. This says it draws a card now, but I still don't think it does. I don't think that draw card actually happens. I think that's an error. Did they reduce the cost of Fireball? They might have reduced the cost of Fireball. If they did, it's better. You can kill Rat King before it attacks you. So there you go. Let's see here. Let's see. Mage Apprentice. This doesn't have cool flavor text like the Wizard. I think it should, but it doesn't. Myopic Power. I feel like that was changed, but it's still not good. So I'm not going to cover it. Warlocks didn't really have a whole hell of a lot of changes, if I remember right. Just a couple of good ones that I can remember. Yeah, see, I'm blazing through these already. There we go. Altar of the Dark Lord was increased from cost 2 to cost 3. This card, that is fantastic. This card was too strong. The way that it was before, especially with all the tokens and the early... oops. Oh, shit. With the early tempo that you're... all the 0-drop units that were added with Rat King, Rally the Peasants, Rat Token, Zombie. It made it too easy to be able to just throw down some altars and just like shit on everyone all at once. Now that they raise the cost, it makes it a little bit more difficult to do. It's still definitely possible and still a very valuable archetype, but it's not as easy to pull off as it was before. And I think that's fine. The combo still exists, and I think that's okay. But the fact that they made it more difficult to pull off makes it easier to answer. So I think that's perfectly fine. Detonate Incinerator. They increased the cost of this to 4. I don't like that. I think that Incinerator and Altar should cost the same, but I guess they value, because Altar really needed to change. I guess they value Incinerator's effect more than they value Altar's effect. So if they increased Altar, they needed an increased Incinerator too. And you know, you're still going to see some Incinerators around, but at 4, you're going to find it really hard to justify playing Incinerator instead of another guy, especially in that 4 slot. In the 3 slot, it just fit in your curve. In the 4 slot, it doesn't do that as easy anymore. So Incinerator's still good, but it's going to have to compete a lot more with a School of Pyromancy, and I think that that's a battle Incinerator's going to lose. Flame Knight. Here's one that's changed that I think is very welcome. Sorcerer. Sorcerer is really, really strong now. He is an 8/2, which means that he gets 2 attacks, and that's it. He can come out, kill something, and then something attacks it, and that thing is dead. So it's a 2-for-1. It's a very good removal card. You know, if you can find a way to keep that health up as you play Crusaders, you're going to have a monster on your hands. I think Sorcerer is very valuable now. I still wish he was the way that he was with the 3 range and the 3 movement. But I think that Sorcerer is perfectly fine in the iteration that he's in right now. He can kill a lot of things in one shot. And I think that's very good for the Sorcerer. And I think it's also good that he has 3 range and 2, or 3 movement and 2 range, as opposed to 2 movement and 3 range. So that way, there's at least a way to attack him without getting your guy killed. With something like Terius or Sea Witch, being able to attack Sorcerer without getting killed makes it so Sorcerer's not a guaranteed 2-for-1. So I think that was good. It is good. It's always been that way, but you know what I mean. Demonic Rage got changed to that special set. And they're treating it as an epic, special set epic, I think. Yeah. Eternal Darkness got a cost reduction. It still sucks, but this also has, you know, a 3/2 for 2. So maybe you get a zombie when you play this card, a free one. I don't know. I never play this card. I'm still not going to play this card. All right. Okay, and I think that's... No, I know I passed one, but I just wanted to check. Alright, Touch of the Elder Gods, now useful. This is now a hard removal spell. So you can take control of a unit, it can't move. At the end of your turn, you destroy that unit. So it is a hard removal spell. It will kill any unit that you take over with it. So you don't necessarily have to use it in a position where you're going to be able to attack something and kill itself. You don't necessarily have to use it in a position where a unit's going to attack its own base. You don't necessarily have to use it and then follow up with a grotesque offering and a sacrifice. Now the unit's dead immediately, so you may be able to take over a unit that you normally wouldn't. So this card's going to see a lot more play, and I think that's good. Touch of the Elder God now actually feels worth it as opposed to Insanity, which wasn't. Alright, touch on ninjas. I'm going to touch on the changes here, and I'm also going to touch on two cards that I think gained a lot of value because of the changes. I think ninjas actually benefited the most from the changes that have taken place, even though they don't really have a whole hell of a lot of changes themselves. Oh, I forgot to show the foils I don't have. But yeah, all that stuff that I said about ninjas stays the same. Sorry it takes me a while to flip through these guys. Bear with me here. Alright, these are the foils I don't have for Warlocks. That's it. Just these ones. I could just craft some of these commons and this, but I want to save my shards. Alright, so anyway, all this stuff I said about ninjas is the same. They changed the stances. I'm not sure which ones they changed. I forget. I'm not really going to touch on those, but yeah. Alright, let's touch on Kunai. This card did not change. This card stayed the same as when I went over the pirate video. However, I really like Kunai now. Kunai kills a lot of things that can be problems for you. It takes things down like flying books, pyromancer, wizard. It takes down rat tokens. It takes down sorcerer. It takes down smithy. There's a sea witch it takes down. There's a lot of stuff that you're going to see in competitive play that Kunai is going to kill. So Kunai is not going to be a never play anymore. This card actually got a buff when some of the other changes took place. Even though it doesn't look like it, you're going to be able to generate some value with Kunai, and I think that ninjas needed that, needed to be able to generate some value with some of their cards. So Kunai, you're going to see this played a little bit more often once people figure out this card's actually good now. But it didn't change. I just want to highlight it. I remember when this card used to cost 0. Alright. I forget which stances changed. Maybe these ones got dropped to 1 cost or something. Yeah. That was it. The stances are still the same as when I highlighted them before. Don't play them. I mean, situationally play them. I think Spirit Metal dropped in cost. So you're going to see this around a little bit more often. So there's that. It's still a 4/4 in stealth, so that's pretty strong. Alright, this is the other card I wanted to highlight because of the changes. This is Naturalize. I actually really like this card now. The more I've played Naturalize, the more I like Naturalize. The reason for that is it kills all those units that I talked about before. I wish it killed Priest, but it doesn't. All those units that I touched on with Kunai, as well as Rat King, this kills, as well as Alkalite, it kills. But it also takes down buildings, and this card... get out of here. I'm not re-recording for that. Just ignore him. This card changed. It didn't change at all. I'm so sorry. It didn't change at all, but it got a lot more useful. I think this card's great. So I'm playing this card, and the more that I'm playing it, the more that I like it. Oh. Damn it, Rusty. Alright. Okay. Dark Spirit got a big power up. Instead of a 6/5, he's a 7/6. That 7 attack power is monstrous. You can kill just about anything. That 6 health makes him survive a lot easier. I think Dark Spirit's fantastic. Just so you guys are aware, I just ranked up to badge level 7, and it gave me Dark Spirits. So if you're looking to get those new players, that's how you're going to get them. You better rank up to badge level 7 if you want them, or you craft them for 8,000 gold, I guess. So there they are. There's Dark Spirit. He's a lot better than what he was before, but ninjas really needed that power creep. Compare this to what Earth Knight used to be. I mean, damn. He's super strong. Play him. Tranquility increased from 3 cost to 4 cost, make it a little bit harder to play Tranquility and maintain some board control afterward. You're going to have to wait a turn or two in order to be able to do what you want to do with Tranquility. But with some of the power-ups of the ninja cards, you're going to need Tranquility a little bit less. So I think this change was welcome. I think that it was a little bit too easy to bounce everything with Tranquility before, especially with burn decks, as I highlighted in one of my other videos. So having Tranquility do what it does now, I think is fine. I think that was a good change. Alright, we're already on the legendaries. Cruise Cloak of Vanishing still sucks. I don't even know if they changed it. It's just disappointing. Alright, here's the big bad change here. This is freaking Wotan. I love this card now. Wotan's great. I might ask for a Wotan Sig on the forums in the avatar request thread because I actually really like Wotan the way that he is right now. Now you might be thinking, Stinky, Wotan's terrible. I know you highlighted a Wotan deck before and talked about Wotan in length and how you like him, but he still sucks. Look at him. It's not good. Now, this is where you need to have an open mind here. You're gonna notice that Wotan is a unit, but you cannot think of Wotan as a unit. You essentially need to scrap all the stuff on the bottom where it says his movement and his attack and defense. Wotan is a buff. This essentially takes any unit on the field and transforms it into a 7/6 with 3 base movement. The unit retains any buffs that it had. Awaken effects, it retains them, but it's not going to retain things like knockback or cleave. So keep that in mind. Or built-in evasive like the Ranger has, but it will maintain evasive maneuvers if you play that on something. So it has to be in whatever card pile that is. But Wotan, treat him like a buff, and he's amazing. It's a buff you can play over and over and over and over and over again. Even if you don't really have anything else to play on one of your units, you can make one of them, just a little bit stronger by playing Wotan. You can continue to apply pressure with Wotan. Wotan's fucking awesome. So I really like him. They fixed him. He's great. I don't know if they added a mono ninja effect to Shodan, but I wish they did. I think they reduced his cost by 1, so you're gonna see him a lot more often. But I'm not sure if they did or not. Either way, it doesn't really change how I feel about Shodan. I think he's still good. Alright, Spirit Panda, they changed significantly. Alright. So now he's a 5/3 teleport Great Cleave the first time this unit is destroyed, instead return it to your hand. I actually think that he is like a 5/8 the second time you play him or something like that. Or he might still be a 5/3. I don't know. I haven't played Mono Ninjas since the patch, but having him be able to kill buildings, that 5 damage threshold is very huge. Having him be able to kill buildings the turn he comes into play is very strong. He costs 7, so you're going to have to establish yourself before you play Panda, and you're not going to be able to play Panda Final Strike. That's probably why they raised the cost to 7, and that kind of sucks. But there's other buffs that you can play, like Stance of the whatever one increases the attack, and that'll serve the same purpose. He won't bounce back to your hand right away, but he's still going to be a monster. Panda's still really strong. Alright, these are the foils I don't have in Ninjas. There's also a new card over here that I want to highlight. There it is. Sushi Shack. Sushi Shack's awesome. I wish Sushi Shack existed right now. I was really hoping that they were going to give Sushi Shack out when they during today's tournament, but they gave out like something awful, some Crusader shit that I already had. And they also gave out the Dragon Roost Castle, which sucks because I paid $50 for mine. But Sushi Shack is really awesome. Gives your units +1 movement, +1 health. Pretty much going to make throwing obsolete. Sushi Shack's great. It's going to give more survivability to your ninja units, it's going to fit in a lot of dual combo decks. You're going to see this in a lot of decks. So when Sushi Shack becomes available in tournament, make damn well sure you have enough CP and play enough tournament games to get your Sushi Shack, because this card is going to be nuts and you are going to be pissed off if you don't get your Sushi Shack. I'm serious, and I'm not just saying that because I like saying Sushi Shack. So yep, and that's it. Those are the foils I don't have for ninjas. So like, comment, subscribe. Those are the changes that I touched on. Sorry if I missed some. That's how I feel about them. I think most of the changes were good, except for the ones they did for pirates. I think they're terrible. You know, they totally killed the faction, and it makes me really sad. Yeah, this is what they gave out. Last Stand. Boo. 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 Last Stand. Boo. Terrible tournament reward. But there you are. I'm going to get this video uploaded. This is going to go in the folder of my my other card breakdowns. Like, comment, subscribe. Tell me what you think. Let me know if I missed anything and how you feel about the changes. If you think I'm overpraising something or undervaluing something, let me know. These are just my opinions. I haven't played with a lot of these cards that got changed because I've been having too much fun with my Wotan deck. I also want to highlight the changes that I made with it because I'm just that kind of guy. I got 27 wins with it now. Oh, damn it. There it is. Alright, so I'm still playing flying books in this deck. I told you I had a kunai and naturalize. I'm having a really good time with those. I also added a shield knight to increase my defensive capabilities to make sure I didn't get killed right away, and I cut the Eternal Judgment and the Throne. So those are the changes I made to the Wotan deck, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Take care. Bye.